Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss post-colonial literature. So, as the term itself explains, that this literature has to do everything with the literature written after the colonial period. We all know the colonial period. So, when the British started making colonies around the world to exploit, loot, and take everything out of those countries to make themselves rich. That was the process of colonization. So they used their power to colonize people, but later they understood that only power isn't enough to make people really your slave. So what they did, they employed many techniques that helped them uh, uh, successfully rule these colonies without the need of much um, weapons or much power. So let's go ahead and discuss. So if we talk about this concept, we should always remember that though we are talking about the post-colonial literature, it is the literature that has been written during the colonization and after the colonization to write the empire back. Alright, what Bill Ashcroft, Gareth Griffith, and Helen Tiffin has said in their joint venture book, The Empire Writes Back. Alright, so it is all about writing back to the empire, it is all about asking questions. Let's go ahead. Okay, so let's talk about the traits of this period, or the works written during this period. So you will find a special kind of connotation of resistance. So what so always whenever there is a force or a forceful occupation, there will always be a resistance. So you will find that resistance, a voice of resistance in the people who do not want to be enslaved, or who do not want to be a part of this hateful culture. All right, or hateful tradition, I should say. All right, and of course, when there is resistance, and this resistance comes out of the anger which finds its origin in the injustice. So you will find that the entire regime seems like an injustice to the colonized world, and the people here are filled with extreme anger against them and stand up to resist. All right, and this resistance, how you can resist to somebody? By gaining grounds of your own culture, of your own tradition, of your own self. All right, so you will find an assertion of self, you will find an assertion of self culture, or native culture, and a special love for it, not special but actually extreme love for the country, that makes people stand up for it, for the soil, for the geographical position of the nation, or for the culture of the nation. All right, and because of this, the nationalism gets strong, and you will find that people become extremely nationalistic, and they always think about their own nation. All right, which is a good thing at that time, because people who came to colonize in the name of civilization and all, or in the name of civilizing the people, were actually looting the countries. And you will find ample examples. We'll discuss about these things later in detail. Okay, and let's move ahead, and then we can talk about the struggle against the wrong. So you will find a kind of a spirit to fight, not just for the sake of fighting. It is the fight against the injustice, for the wrong things. When you see your own people dying on the streets, when you see your own people being being hurt or being tortured by a foreign colonial rule, you will not be able to tolerate that. So there's this anger, this love for native culture, this nationalism, this resistance, all gives voice to the struggle against the wrong. And you will find the world in binaries. The idea of a democratic world is all of a sudden, you know, goes away in a colonial regime, and there will always be everything in binaries. All right, like master and slave, white and black, this race and that race, this country and that country, people from here, people from there. So you will find these binaries there, which are really hard to crack. And the people who are marginalized or who are on the other side of the binary feel always oppressed, and the master always rules without thinking about their slaves. All right, and you will find a sense of ambiguity in the minds of people. Sometimes, like, they think that, why, uh, where they actually belong, because this colonial rule actually forces its people, the native people, to forget about their culture. We'll discuss about it later, but it's just a brief discussion. All right. So they do something like that, and they make people to be ambiguous, to be confused, so that they can never think in clarity, and always be, in a confused state. And whenever you are in a confused state, you always are vulnerable, and you will need help, you will need assistance. So that's what they always wanted, and that's how they did. They installed this ambiguity through language, through stealing language of the native people, through stealing their culture, through replacing their culture and language with the colonial language and culture. All right. So there is always a void in the discussion, and then a revolt against authority. So all of these things force people to revolt against the authority. All right. So that's how it comes into existence, and this post-colonial literature becomes a gamut of resistance of the people, of voices who raised themselves in the extreme regimes of oppression or suppression. All right. And if we talk about, to understand post-colonialism, we need to understand these few texts. All right, these are just some of them, which I think that good to go, or not good to go, they are actually outstanding texts. What I meant by saying that is that they are good. I mean, they are very easy to understand, not that hard to understand the implications of colonial rule, all right, or colonial implications. So once you read it, you will understand that, okay, that's what was happening at that time, and we never realized it. All right, that was the feeling I had when I read these texts. Okay, so the very first text I have taken, that is Chinua Achebe's Decolonizing the Mind. So it's a prose text, it's a non-fictional text, and it's an essay actually. And he wrote this essay to decipher the tactics of colonial regimes, and what they do when they are in a colonized country. All right. So he said that how we can decolonizing the mind. So first we need to understand what colonization means, and then we need to understand what we automatically understand what decolonization is. So colonization is not just the occupation of your home. All right, understand it in this way. It's not just the occupation of your home. It is the occupation of everything you belong to. All right, it is the occupation of everything that belongs to you. Or you can say that it is the occupation of all the things that define you as you, an individual. All right. For example, your way of life. All right. So if I replace your way of life with my way of life, I am actually trying to colonize you. All right. Or if you think it that way, that somebody comes to your home and he or she captures your home, and after that they ask you to do everything and they don't do anything. What do you feel? Not very good. All right. So that is the feeling that people had. So it was the colonization of not just the geographical sphere but the mental spheres as well. All right, occupying the colonized mind with with their own echoes. All right, and how these echoes find grounding in the mind, how they do come into your mind when you when your language is replaced by their language. Okay, when your culture is replaced by their culture. And there is this author, I forgot his name. I'll definitely mention it. But what his idea was actually about the colonization. What they do, the colonizers, what they do, they just do not replace all these things, but they make you ashamed of your own culture. All right. So that is the mental colonization, when you don't like your own things, and you feel you feel that you don't belong to your own things. Neither you ever feel belonging to the things of the colonizer. Like, we speak a language English, but sometimes we feel that we don't belong to this language because we cannot express everything in this language. Okay, and sometimes to convey what we really want, we actually want to take the help of our native language. But imagine somebody makes you forget your native language. All right, and you just have a foreign language that doesn't belong to you, and you can't belong to that language. The communication will be hard. All right, and language is always the carrier of your culture, your way of life, your lifestyle. And if you don't have that language, then you cannot grow. All right, so this we need to keep in mind, and that's what he talks about in this essay. All right, the other book is Black Skin, White Masks. It is another beautiful book on, again, decolonizing the mind of the people. All right, so Frantz Fanon, the French theorist, he actually tells about the same thing. He says that though we all have black skins, but we have put on white masks. White masks is the white culture we have put on. So neither we belong to this side nor we belong to that side. And then we come into the condition of non-belonging, or not belonging to any world. All right, and this non-belonging is at the very root of the colonial or post-colonial texts. Okay, you will find that there is a sense of alienation, there is a sense of disillusionment, there is a sense of being rootless. All right, and this is what rootlessness means. When you don't able to, you are not able to recognize yourself anymore, because you have nothing to say that is your own. Okay, and that feeling of not having anything of your own is in itself a big blot, or a big like a big hole in your heart. You cannot when you feel that I can't belong, I don't have anything to belong to, you will always be rootless. You will never realize that who you are, or you will never be able to explain yourself. All right. And the third text is written by Gayatri Chakrabarti Spivak. Can the Subaltern Speak? All right. It's again a prose text, an essay which she has written. So the subaltern here is again the marginal side of the binary. All right, slave. All right, or the colonized, or black, not white. All right, so all these colonies, master, not master, slave, that is the subaltern. So what started happening after the colonization, and even during the colonization, the white people tried to explain, or name the situations, the problems of the people of a colonized country, which she was against of. She said that how can you tell what is happening with me? So this binary of the first world and third world, this first world's constant intervention into the third world makes Gayatri offended, and she feels that this is not right. Let the subalterns speak and tell that they can do something for themselves. By not letting them speak, the first word makes the third word feel powerless. Alright, so that's what she talks about in this essay. We will be discussing all these essays one by one in different slides, but right now this is all which I have, and that's all. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.